Right now on the National Weather Desk, wildfire season. Right now on the National Weather Desk, wildfire season. Nearly 100 fires are burning, including one of the largest in California history.
You know, when they say evacuate, I evacuate.
Tracking the tropics. Is the next hurricane already taking shape in the Atlantic?
We could see some potential development in the general area of the Bahamas.
Rash of earthquakes. Why did West Texas feel so many in such a short time?
It could be natural and human caused.
Dollywood flooding. A look at what happened after heavy rain fell at the Singers Resort.
So we didn't really understand the gravity of the situation in the moment.
And the dragonfly swarm that invaded a crowded beach.
Oh my God, I'm kind of scared.
I thought it was the end of the world.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. California's park fire has grown to more than 373,000 acres, making it the sixth largest in state history. That also means it's almost half the size of Rhode Island at just 14% contained. It's likely to grow even larger, but the cooler temperatures are making firefighting efforts easier. At least 165 buildings in 4 Northern California counties have been destroyed. It's one of the uncontained large fires burning in the U.S. right now. Collectively, they have burned more than 2 million acres. That's 1.5 times bigger than the state of Delaware. This morning, we're taking a closer look at several of these fires, starting with the Park Fire.
The Park Fire is now one of the biggest wildfires in California history. That's saying a lot in the state's northern area.
This region, both Butte and Tehama, over the course of time in California, has had 4 of the largest 10 fires known in history.
These Park Fire survivors say they escaped the blaze, but at one point saw no way out.
And things happen fast, you know, you just got to hold on to your memory. Your memory's the most, I mean, honestly, because, you know, pictures and all that, it's material.
The man charged with starting the fire is being held without bail after an arraignment yesterday. Officials say he pushed a burning car into a gully. Just over a half hour from Phoenix, the Sandstone fire is proving difficult to contain. And in Colorado,
all 4 sides of the fire, we definitely have built a big box of evacuations and resources.
the Alexander fire is burning about an hour north of Denver. People who live in that area are evacuating.
What began as a fiery crash off Highway 178 in a canyon turned into a fire of over 5,000 acres, larger than the size of San Francisco's entire area. Dozens of people in neighborhoods surrounding the fire were warned that they needed to evacuate.
You know, when they say evacuate, I evacuate.
Havilah was one of the communities that went through a huge loss. Previously known to be a pioneer settlement in the 19th century, it was also the county seat for Kern in the 1800s. For many, like Don Atkinson, who's no stranger to fires, says he's choosing to stay home despite the order.
I know I'm mandatory twice, but I'm staying home anyway. I know I can take care of it. I know how the fire works, nothing like that, and I'm confident.
But for others, the Boral fire has sparked fear since their loved ones are inches away.
My mother-in-law lives in Havilah, and thank God the house survived. But the neighbors, they lost everything.
And turning now to Oregon, where 43 fires burned more than 1 million acres. The Durkee fire is the largest in the state, burning more than 288,000 acres. It is nearly 50% contained. The microwave tower fire and Columbia River Gorge is a lot smaller, but still active east of the town of Hood River. It's around 53% contained. And what would you know what to do if a wildfire broke out near your home? That's what happened Monday morning to a man in Summit County, Utah, roughly 45 miles east of Salt Lake City. Our Salt Lake City station spoke to him and learned just how close the flames came to his home. Amanda Gilbert has that story.
It was a quick response, both in the air and on the ground. This wildfire started right by homes and a highway.
We just smelled smoke coming in the window on the side of the house.
Scott Myers was enjoying his morning coffee when he saw smoke come over this hill.
We walked outside and then we saw flames.
He and his wife grabbed their dogs and drove.
I thought about what should we grab? Nothing.
Deputy Director of Communications for Summit County, Bridget Conway, says multiple agencies responded.
This is a Murdoch Hill fire. It's estimated at about 20 acres.
I watched this helicopter dump water 15 to 20 times.
Could have been so much worse, no doubt. No, I could have stood here and watched the house burn down.
Myers is beyond grateful for these firefighters.
I couldn't thank them enough. I don't think there's a verbal thank you can give them.
After this scare,
there's a cigarette butt right there. They're everywhere.
He asked people to please be careful with cigarettes.
Not only is it litter, it does things like this. Whether that's what happened or not, I'll never know.
And tracking the tropics this morning, and we're keeping a close eye on a system brewing in the Atlantic Ocean that could grow into a named storm. West Palm Beach meteorologist Jennifer Collins has the latest.
Still monitoring that area of disturbed weather in the central Atlantic, really not showing any sort of signs of increased thunderstorm activity with it at this time. We still have hair and dust crossing the Atlantic too. But by the time it approaches the greater Antilles, we could see some potential development in the general area of the Bahamas. As of now, the National Hurricane Center putting about a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. Now, there's still quite a bit of uncertainty with this eventual system. Some models actually have it as a developing system staying off the coast of Florida. Other models don't have anything developing at all, or maybe heading into the Gulf of Mexico. So as of right now, there's still quite a bit of uncertainty. What we do know is that tropical moisture will surge into the area heading into this weekend, regardless of development. Now, we are approaching August. This is when we see a tropical activity increase in the Atlantic basin on approach to the peak of hurricane season, which is in early September.
A more immediate concern is the threat of severe weather today and also tonight. It's a level 2 out of 5 for storms in an area that includes Nashville, St. Louis, Omaha, Des Moines. There's a slightly lower threat in the green area that stretches from the Canadian border to the southern coast, as well as the mid-Atlantic and the northern New England area as well. Now, we are watching the summer heat today. More than 60 million Americans are under heat alerts. Excessive heat warnings stretch from eastern Nebraska to northern Mississippi. There are also plenty of heat advisories, including the Northeast, Northern Plains, as well as much of Texas and also Florida. People in Maine were surprised when they felt an earthquake Sunday afternoon. It was pretty small, with a magnitude of just 2.8. Hundreds of people told the U.S. Geological Survey that they felt it. So is this quake a sign of things to come in Maine?
There are occasional instances where a small magnitude earthquake like this is a foreshock to something much larger and damaging, but that's extremely rare. It's only happened twice in the eastern U.S. in the 500 years history here. So it's very unlikely it's a precursor to something larger.
And just last week, nearly 90 earthquakes were reported in West Texas. It's not unusual for earthquakes to be felt in the state, but to have that many in just a matter of days is really uncommon. To understand what was behind, or maybe behind, the large number of tremors, we turn to Abilene meteorologist Caden Dinkins.
Experts at the USGS are saying it could be natural and human cause. It's leaning more towards the natural side, and that's because the human cause of that is likely to be water flooding, which is water injections into the earth to help with gas and oil extractions. Well, those only go so deep, but these earthquakes are occurring so far down in the Earth's core there that they're saying that it's more likely on the natural side of things instead of the human-made era, and that fault is just having a lot lot of activity. Now, if it were to be that human error, that injection of the water into the Earth's layers there is affecting it because it can cause less friction to those plates, and that's what causes it to slip. But again, the USGS is likely saying it's more on the natural side of things, but they do need to do some more research if they're able to pinpoint the cause of these earthquakes. Not necessarily unnormal, but definitely something different for our area.
And check this out right here. Security camera footage from Middle Tennessee State University shows just how strong some storms can be. In the video from Monday afternoon, you can see a football equipment trailer being lifted off the ground, look at that, and tossed around by what looks like a small tornado. Nashville's National Weather Service is still investigating this. A spokesperson from the university said nobody was injured from that. You're looking at. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll hear from people who got stuck at the famous Dollywood Resort over the weekend due to some major flooding. And we're going to also find out what it was like for Rhode Island beachgoers who were caught in a swarm of dragonflies.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. The heat is building in the Northeast today, with most areas again topping on the 80s to near 90 degrees. The exception parts of Maine, temps will be in the 70s to near 80 there. There will be more clouds, of course. As we go throughout the day, any early morning clouds, they'll start to break up. There's the chance for a pop-up afternoon thunderstorm, but note the sun returning. Most of the Northeast should see a fair amount of sun. More showers re-enter the forecast on Wednesday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Throughout your Tuesday, it looks like we begin dry, but most of us will see a good chance for showers and thunderstorms throughout your afternoon and evening. Another round could come through on Wednesday as well. We definitely need all the rain with the drought situation across the Delmarva region. Now also looking at some higher temperatures, 90s likely for your Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday could be even hotter, mid to possibly even upper 90s in certain areas before we get to the hottest temperature on Thursday.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Here's a look at your high temperatures for this afternoon. Mostly in the upper 90s for the western portion of our area. Also a good portion of the Florida Peninsula. 80s everywhere else, mid and upper 80s for the North Georgia mountains. Looking at your hour-by-hour forecast, we will still have a frontal boundary pushing through the area throughout your Tuesday morning. Showers and storms likely to develop along the boundary, in addition to getting some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Sea breeze storms expected for Florida and the Atlantic coast, and then we dry out overnight.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In Tennessee, Dollywood reopened on Monday after heavy rain caused flooding at the Pigeon Forge Resort on Sunday. The flooding was simply so severe, some visitors could not even leave the resort. But as Jared Austin reports, some guests say it was a memorable experience.
We have a raging river here.
Dollywood visitors left stranded for hours dealing with flash flooding.
So we didn't really understand the gravity of the situation in the moment.
Rainwater rushing through the streets of the park.
It was just torrential rain. It just would not let up.
Lindsay Brindle with her kids there Sunday night, feeling a little helpless.
We were seeking shelter and kind of making our way slowly but surely towards the exits. But by the time we got to the exits, things had really just gotten to a point where we had to stay. We were stuck.
A day after the heavy rain, it's almost back to normal. Sounds of rushing rainwater, now just sounds of water from the water wheel.
I mean, literally in less than 12 hours, the maintenance team was able to go through, repair a section in the parking lot, and clean this entire park up.
Pete Owens with Dollywood saying the city and parks infrastructure can't handle this much rain. They're also fixing parts of the parking lot where water appeared waist high at points.
We'll evaluate what happened and whether or not there are things we can adjust so that we can make things better. But, you know, that's a 100-year flood in an act of God. So we'll have to see exactly what adjustments that we can make moving forward.
As for park goers, there's no ill will to the park, just some memories.
Was a core memory for my kids.
My 6 and 9-year-old, I don't think they're going to forget it anytime soon.
And when it comes to raindrops, you may think you know all about the shape, but you may want to think again. Let's check out a recent Instagram post from meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen on the shape of raindrops.
Okay, this is a fun one. I want you to close your eyes and think about the shape of a raindrop. We'll give you 3, 2, 1. Did you guess a teardrop? Well, you would in fact be wrong, and it actually resembles a food product. I know, let's talk about it. When a raindrop first falls from a cloud, it looks like this. It has a spherical shape because of surface tension. It actually has a pretty strong surface tension due to the air being able to flow completely around the raindrop. So smaller raindrops will collide with each other, and that's when you kind of get closer to this shape here, right? You get a little bit more flattening of the bottom surface. That's where airflow is greater. We also have to incorporate falling velocity, which will decrease surface tension, while still the top part remains somewhat spherical. So the raindrop continues to fall, continues to flatten out even more. We're getting stronger flow at the bottom, or the bottom part of the shape here. And now we get our official shape. Drum roll, please. It's a hamburger bun. So the true shape of a raindrop is a hamburger bun. Now it's going to hold this hamburger bun shape until it's stretched to capacity, and thus will split in two. So now you can drop some raindrop knowledge on your friends and family.
And weekend beachgoers in Rhode Island were stunned when a swarm of dragonflies took over a local beach, sending people running for cover. Aaron Coogan spoke with people who were there and said it looked like a dragonfly apocalypse.
Everything was just pitch black. Everything got gray. Seagulls are chasing dragonflies trying to get through to get to the sea. They couldn't even get through. It was just insane. I never seen nothing like it.
Silence swept Misquamicut Beach Saturday afternoon as the iridescent wings and colorful bodies of thousands of dragonflies filled the skies.
Well, no one actually made any noise. We all just had our cameras out and we're like, what the heck is happening?
Interrupted only by the occasional scream of shock and excited squeal.
Oh my God, I'm kind of scared.
Some thought the worst.
I thought it was the end of the world.
While others soaked in the spectacle.
We see dragonflies in Vermont, but not like that.
Then we were like, where are they today?
Clearing the beach in a matter of minutes.
It was really quick at first. There was a bunch of them, and then they slowly started to disperse after like 5 minutes.
The swarm Saturday was captured on camera from the streets of Westerly to Newport.
I'm sure it's hundreds of thousands. I don't know if it's millions.
David Gregg is the executive director of the Rhode Island Natural History Survey. He says the dragonfly species found in the swarm are common throughout New England.
They're primarily blue dashers. Now, that's one of our most common dragonflies.
Less common, though, their tendency to swarm. Not a naturally migratory species, the blue dasher will only collectively up and leave their freshwater habitats when conditions are no longer suitable.
I mean, they've headed south to try to find wetter habitat.
And Sam, beachgoers and scientists alike are curious to see where this swarm heads next.
And Twisters has been out for more than a week, and the feedback from the weather community has been very positive. Perhaps that's because the filmmakers worked hard to create scientific authenticity during filmmaking. Emily Gracie spoke to one of the meteorologists that helped transform the cast into believable storm chasers.
Our office was first approached by the production last January, actually, when a location scout wanted to come and visit the building. They were visiting lots of locations around the area, picking out the best red dirt roads and wind turbines and all the things that are in the movie, shot entirely here in Oklahoma. So we hosted a visit with the location scout, and then that would be the first of 6 visits I think we had with some facets of the movie production. There is a National Weather Service office in the movie. So the main thing they were doing here was gathering images and props and things to use And then we got into, let's see, this would have been May of last year. We got approached to do a training class for some of the cast and crew. They wanted kind of a combination storm spotter training / tornado education as background for the actors / tornado safety for people that are going to be that are new to Oklahoma, living here in the Springs. And that was really fun. That was really cool. The actors, everybody was really into it, but Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell were sitting on the front row in the dead center, and Daisy took notes the entire time. She was really interested. So
the first twister inspired a generation of meteorologists. I'm one of them. This twister, let's say somebody is so interested in weather after seeing this movie. What do you suggest people do? How can they get involved in the weather community?
Weather is one of the coolest things because you can become involved in weather at any level you want to. Dig into websites and learn more about it. You can attend National Weather Service Storm Spotter training sessions, which are held all over the country. You can become a volunteer observer and report to the Weather Service. There's so many ways that you can kind of feed that need to be involved. So many people that aren't meteorologists are already involved in what we do, and we're excited that we'll have more after this.
And to hear much more about Rick and about, of course, the making of twisters, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. They will discuss how the movie tackles the issue of facing many survivors of natural disasters like PTSD. And Rick will address the accuracy of the main science plotline in that film. Find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcast. And time now for a short break. But first, we take in sights near Moab, Utah.
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. We're going to have different clusters of thunderstorms racing through the Midwest. That's what's allowing for a lot of those thunderstorm chances from Minneapolis all the way through Springfield, Illinois, and even into Columbus with highs in around 87 degrees. But do note those hot temperatures out to the west. Lincoln at 101, Wichita 102, and still we'll hang on to the overnight storms moving through Iowa and eventually down into the Ohio River Valley.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It's a nice morning, a little warm, a little humid for some. Coolest spot sitting a little bit further back up to the north, back over to Midland and back into Amarillo. We've got a little bit of a low pressure system setting up out here to the west. Nothing to really look at. Little hit and miss showers up along the Texas coast. The otherwise day is going to be summer, and it's going to be temperatures into the 90s. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson, and here's what's happening across the West. We have temperatures that are cooling below normal, which is good news for fighting wildfires, especially across the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. Still hot for areas around Phoenix and moving up into parts of Nevada. But as we have showers and thunderstorms moving into Montana, the big concern to the west is air quality. An air quality alert extends for the wildfires. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Coastal Maine was under a rip current warning Monday, but the risk is low today. No matter what beach you visit, it's always good to know about rip current safety. Emily Santum explains how they currents form and the best way to escape them.
What exactly is a rip current? Well, it's a strong water channel on top of the ocean surface, which easily can affect even the best swimmers by pulling them out to sea right here. So exactly how do they form? Well, swells push extra water on the beaches with water pressure building on the back end of the sandbar. It also flows along the shoreline until it reaches a break. So right here, these big circles that move clockwise. The water moves parallel to the shoreline. When it approaches the break right here, that's the rip current, and it can create enough suction to pull anything out to sea. Once again, even the best swimmers. Some important tips, we can talk about them right here. One, if you do get stuck in a rip current, don't fight the current. Actually swim parallel to the shore to escape the current. If you can't escape, make sure you can float maybe on your back or tread some water. And if you definitely need help, wave your hand or call, and once again, wave for assistance right there.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.